So during the time that I was setting up RSCoYT, I was also researching for this book. And whilst I was doing that, I discovered the billy goat scenes that we deleted in the original production of Hard to Swallow. So they provided part of the kind of story behind this book. And great that I did that. And now, in the new Hard to Swallow book by Salamander, they're there in the back of the script. All six of them, the six that we had originally in the whole production, are there. And they're a great little exercise. And at the time of the book, Hard to Swallow had become a set text, and teachers needed to know information about how it came to be. So I did this book with some of the youth theatre members who were in the original production. So I think you can see some of them here: Chris, Vordin, Sarah, and Richard. I was very lucky. I just turned to that page. They did this book with me. And Karen Latto, who was one of the chief examiners on one of the exam boards, did the layout based on Barry's ideas from the Too Much Punch book. It's a beautiful book. It's really beautifully done, and it used all the thoughts and memories from the diary that I wrote whilst I was doing Hard to Swallow. And teachers needed to know this. And I'd actually noticed that someone had created a resource, and they couldn't have known what we'd done because no one had talked about it. So here I talk about it, so now the information is out, and they had to know about the original production. So Hard to Swallow, Easy to Digest tells that story. And just to let you know, there's a second edition of the book coming out, published by Salamander, and that will be coming out very, very soon. I've been working on that very recently, following the tragic news of Maureen and her departure from this world. So we've got a lovely obituary by her son in that. And also, Hard to Swallow was now on tour with Tie It Up Theatre Company, whose production I've seen and I think is absolutely wonderful. And in the new script again, there are pictures of their production and a little feature by Elliot, who was the director of the production. So again, they can hear about the professional work. Anyway, back in 2015 to 16, Ali was already doing a production of Hard to Swallow, and that obviously is why I was chatting with her. And they were going to put it on DVD, which would accompany the book, so that we had these two resources going out. A new production with some frantic ideas, frantic assembly style ideas that she'd got some year 11s to do for her, and the book with all the history. And a little bits of the original OYT production are also on. I say little bits, almost all of the original footage from an OYT production are on this as well. And again, Salamander are going to be publishing this because I've completely run out of stock. So there I am running RSCoYT in the school where they're doing a Hard to Swallow production, which is going to be used across the country to teach kids who are studying it at GCSE, who have to study it at GCSE, to teach them about Hard to Swallow. So I suddenly think, why don't we use RSCoYT that I'm here with now, and we haven't actually got a plan? Why don't we just do, for our first project, the billy goat scenes, the deleted billy goat scenes that had never been performed? We'd done them in rehearsals, but we'd never actually, no one had ever performed them, no one had seen them. I discovered them purely in researching for the book. So we did that, and this perfect youth theatre that I was aiming to set up, suddenly I gate crashed it with this idea of doing that. And I have to say that was brilliant for the DVD, but it wasn't so good for the youth theatre. It was me imposing an idea on them, which was never what I intended to do, and it imposed a pressure. And they did really well. We did 5 of them. They worked in small groups. And then the 6th, which was a performance poem, we did as a whole group. And that worked beautifully. I think it's number 4 also works beautifully. but it was a pressure, and it stopped the kind of feeling of equalness that I'd actually wanted to engender, to try and undo this thing of I'm the most important person in the youth theatre. And then suddenly I became the most important person in the youth theatre because it was me that said we're going to do this, and we kind of moved forward. Lovely. I'll just a little word for Alicia, who had come from OYT. What stunning work she did. She was heavily involved in doing that number 4 production. If you've got the DVD, have a look at the Billy Goat Scene number 4. It's a really, really good piece of theatre, and it led me to understand the Billy Goats and the way in which you can perform them in a really stylistic way, so much better than I'd ever done before. And now if I go workshopping in schools and using Hard to Swallow, Alicia and the group who did it on the DVD, you're my inspirations for that. And the Gryphon one that you can see on YouTube is brilliant. And it's just brought new life to the Billy Goat scenes. So we did that. It ended that term, and still we'd had no one being absent at all. And now we were going to launch out, and I wanted to go back to my original plan of the Perfect Youth Theatre, and give them the choice of which production they would perform. Of course, there was one catch. It did have to be a production that I was involved in writing, because that was my reason for getting involved. So there was a little bit of yeah, this does need to be a me production. But that's really what I was there to offer. So that will be the next episode, I guess, what we chose to do.